What's up guys, Burns here. Well, it's the end of an era. Well, alright, maybe not an era, but it's the end of life for me and this wind turbine. I'm in the process of taking it down. I got the ladder set up and I have removed the blades. The reason it's coming down is a couple of reasons actually. One, I don't have a furling tail, so we get some pretty nasty winds here in the wintertime, and this thing just gets a bit unwieldy, and I don't want it to fold my pole over. My guy wires are all stretched, and it's just, at this time right now, it's not doing anything productive other than charging a battery. It hasn't been doing anything for the past couple of years other than making a bunch of noise on the roof, so it's time to come down. The other reason is the blades are starting to break. I have a couple of tips that have broken off 2 blades already, and it has given it basically a death wobble. So when it's running at low RPMs, it sways in the wind. High RPMs, it vibrates and it basically shakes itself to death. So it just gotta get it down. I don't have enough blades to replace the ones that are failing. I'd rather replace them all in one shot instead of, a couple at a time. Here's the blade set. I don't know if you can see this. Hopefully you can. It actually wasn't doing too bad. It would rotate fairly freely without any issues. I believe the bearings in the alternator housing are starting to go too. But just to go back to the broken tips here, let me show you a good tip here. See, this is a good tip. As you can see, it's nice and squared off. It has a little nick in it. A couple of them have some nicks in them from, I'm going to assume, probably tree branches or something. This one's really not in bad shape. You can see there's a bunch of scratches on it. See, this one's not too bad. There's really no scratches in this one. I mean, there's a few of them, but that could have been for me when I was assembling it. I could have scratched it, I don't know. Overall, I mean, you can see the blades are still nice and clear. You could probably hear the turbine up there groaning a little bit now as it's rotating on the shaft. But they're really not in bad shape, aside from the failures that I've had. The way these blades have handled very turbulent winds, only being 30 feet in the air, have really impressed me. So here's another one with a little nick in it right here. Nothing too bad, really. But here's one here this one here has failed. This one's actually broken off, as you can see. But this one here is the one that's been broken for a while. I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna put that stress on the thinness of the blade and it getting a little bit weaker over time. One thing I want to point out with this turbine, this wind turbine has been installed and has not been serviced or maintained, or anything has been done to it since the day it went up. This turbine has been installed since February, March, end of February, beginning of March, sometime in that time frame of 2016. It's now the middle of January 2020. So that's almost 4 years that this turbine has been installed with no maintenance. I've done absolutely nothing to it to care for it. And that was on purpose because I really wanted to see what the first failure would be. It seems to me one of the first failures is the bearings in the alternator housing. They do have a little bit of a groan to them at low RPMs. Like if we get a 5 to 10 mile an hour wind and the wind turbine is turning but not generating electricity, you can hear the ball bearings groaning inside the bearing, or inside the housing, and then it radiates down the pole and into the frame of this garage. Is it a big deal for me? No, because I don't live out here. I only work out here. It's not a huge deal, but it's a little annoying, but I've gotten used to it, so I don't even pay attention to it anymore. You can hear it in a lot of my videos if I'm out here doing things. The other issue is, the other failure is the blades. That's about it. There's no other failure mechanically that I can see. As far as electrical output, I'm getting even voltage across all the outputs of the turbine. So as you can see, this turbine has the bearing kit installed underneath it. It's basically 2 roller skate wheels mounted to a bracket, bolted to the pole. That noise you're hearing is the metal on metal of the PMA bracket and the tower. Basically, the top of that mast has no grease, there's no lubrication, no bearings, nothing. It's metal on metal. It's wore through the paint, so it's grinding and squeaking now, which is no big deal. Like I said, it's not a major problem. But it's time to come down. So this is going to be probably the last time I'll have a turbine on the roof. I don't have any plans to reinstall anything at this location. Maybe in the future I may install a turbine over at the other property where the pole barn is, which you can see other videos on that. It had a good 4 years. It's lived a good life up there. It's been through ice storms, snowstorms, blizzards, extreme heat, high winds in excess of 40 miles per hour. Like I said, it's ripped a guy wire out of the garage roof. The two that are left, which would be the one to the front here and the one just under the ladder, which I don't know if you could see them, are stretched. But the tower is still straight, other than a little bit of rust forming up there from the PMA bracket grinding the paint away due to me not doing any maintenance to it. The rust is forming from there, but everything else is held solid, which is pretty impressive. It is an impressive piece of equipment, and I've been very happy with it. But like I said earlier, it's just not doing anything productive at the moment. And I've moved away from those cheapy Chinese inverters that you plug into your wall. They just are not safe, and I've moved on to, as you can see by the Magnum videos that I have. If you go look back at my other videos, you'll see that I have a Magnum inverter installed over at my pole barn. And that's the route I'm going. I'm going to be going with a full-on, large-scale solar production system that is going to provide power, and we're going to do it right. We're not going to be dealing with the cheapy Chinese-y crap anymore. That's a thing of the past. Because, you know, there's really nothing like doing it right the second time. For small-scale stuff, this thing worked perfectly. It worked great for maintaining a couple of batteries for me that I was running inverters off of to run lights and stuff, but we're moving on from this. This is going to be the end of this chapter and the end of micro wind turbines for me. Just my preference. I don't have anything against it really. It's just something that we're going to move beyond. Now, let's go get this thing down. Power's off. Oh, okay, that's good. I gotta get on one more tower. There, okay. Ooh, that is unwieldy up here. Okay. Alright. Now that the wind is picking up, it's making it that much more difficult to be up here. Okay. Come on, you turd. Ooh. Because I don't want this to... Where the fuck is that? There, okay. Alright, we're gonna... There it goes. God, that's so annoying. I gotta let the wind calm down a little before I remove it. Okay, let's see if we can lift this up and off. There we go. Okay. There we go. Just got to cap that. Put a rubber cap on it or something. Whew. Freaking wind is taking me here. There you have it, guys. That is the Thermodyne Systems Supercore 12 volt is now off the tower and decommissioned. Let's go take a look at it inside the garage. All right, so here's a look at the PMA head. And you can see I can still, let's get some light here. I can still easily turn it. There's no issues rotating that, and that's, so the PMA works just fine. It still rotates very easily. I don't have to put a socket and a wrench on there. Again, it works great. The wires that come out of the PMA are in good shape. My electrical connections are probably something to be desired on this setup, but it doesn't matter. It's out of commission now. The wire has held up fairly well, even though it's not rated for outdoor wire. This is the leads coming off the PMA, but my wiring, as you can see, has faded quite a bit. The bracket held up very well. As you can see, it's lost some paint, but it is not rusting. The arms got a little bit of rust on them, but that could be due to my preparations and paint job, which I admit is not the greatest. You can see here's where the bearing is, the bearing, the metal on metal collar that the pipe sits on, the tower. You can see that looks like it's in good shape. It's not wallowed out, or the face is nice and smooth still. It's not a sharp edge. There's no sharp edges or anything like that. And the tail fin, it's aluminum, so it's not going to rot, not going to rust. It does have a little bit of scale on it, but you know, that's aluminum. It oxidizes like that. Even the alternator housing, the casing, looks good. The bolts held up very nicely. There's no rust on them. Crap, I just dropped that. A little bit of surface rust on the shaft, but that's from the hub. Overall, not bad. This is rusted on at the moment, but I think that's because of the rust working its way in from the hub. Overall, though, I am pretty happy with how this held up with all of that weathering and use and lack of maintenance. Even the Romex connector that held the cable up there all these years did just fine. The only thing I'm not going to really do is go up in the attic and pull the cable down out of the pipe and see what the condition of it is like, see how twisted it is. I don't really care. It doesn't matter to me. I highly doubt there's a lot of twist to it anyway, because this thing generally faced the same direction all the time. It might have a little bit of a spiral to it, but it's not a big deal. It hasn't spiraled enough to the point where it's broken it. And last but not least, here is the disc that the turbine has sat on and rotated on all these years. You can see the little groove wore in the metal. Well, actually, it's only a wore in the paint. It's not wore through. That the roller skate, or the rollerblade wheels were riding against. So yeah, this held up fairly well itself as well. This is the face that the PMA bracket was sitting on. So it was sitting on there, something like that. And it's not really rusted out, it's just lost a bit of paint. There's a bit of an oily residue, like a greasy, oily residue on there. So, and here's the rust ring on the center of the hub here. A little bit of a groove cut in, which I think what happened was this got loose at one point. I don't know. It does rotate in the direction to keep the bolt tightened, which is nice, or the nut, which really worked out pretty well. Let's flip this around. You can see these blades are still pretty strong. I mean, I'm resting them on, I'm resting the tips of the blades on the ground. Because like I said, it's not going back up. But you can see the carriage bolts got a little bit of surface rust on them, nothing too bad. The center hub has probably got the worst amount of wear right here. The worst amount of corrosion, and just a little bit here where the faces were mating. Not too bad. Overall, guys, I am happy. I'm impressed, and it's going to be missed. Oh, look at this. We got looks like bird shit maybe. Or it might be a little bit of an impact. A little bit of impact damage there maybe from something. maybe a tree branch. I don't know. Overall though, guys, I am happy with this equipment. I'm impressed with its performance over the years, but it's now being decommissioned and we're going to be removing everything, getting this electrical system down and out of here. So, well, that's going to close out this video, guys. I really appreciate it. I don't know what's going to go on with the tower yet. I might take it down. I might leave it up in the long term. I haven't figured it out yet what it's going to be repurposed for. So, all right, guys, that's going to do it for this one. I really appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. I'll try to reply to it. I don't really check YouTube all that often anymore, so if I don't get to you right away, that's why. We'll see you in the next one.